Now that we're done kind of with our base mesh, now we can move into the sculpting tab. And the sculpting tab's up here. Before I do that, I'm just going to go to option or to object mode. So I'll hit tab and I can see that this happens. And the reason that that happens is because obviously our mask modifier. And if I turn off the visibility of it, I can see that I'm hiding the fact that it's available to us. And if I turn it back on, it'll become available. Another thing, so if it's showing us the mask, I can go to threshold, and if I bring that up to 1, I can see that the entire thing kind of disappears. And now I can kind of swap this, and it goes like that. Now, just so you can see how this works, is if I bring this all the way down, and then if I swap this, you can see I can swap the what is being hidden. Okay, so maybe what I'll do is I'll put that all the way up for now and just leave it like that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch over to sculpting mode. And actually before I do that, I'm going to set up my modifier for sculpting mode. And to do this properly, I feel like I need to get rid of my mirroring. Okay, so I have to kind of commit to at this point that I want to be done with mirroring. Now that doesn't mean that I can't use kind of a mirror feature, but I feel like if I don't do this, it can get kind of screwed up when I go to sculpting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be in object mode. I'm going to go to my mirror, and I'm just going to come here and say apply. Now that just kind of like finalized it, and it doesn't understand that it's mirrored. So in other words, if I go like this, and if I make some edits, you can see it's only doing it to one side. Again, I feel like that's fine that I needed to do that. I'm just going to add another modifier. I'm going to add multi-resolution. When I add multi-resolution, I can come in here and I can divide it. So if I come over here to sculpting, go to the modifiers, I'm just going to go ahead and open these up. And I can see here that my mesh is a certain density here. And when I go to subdivide, now I feel like I can see that it's literally quadruple the number of polygons. And then I can go to subdivide again. And as soon as I start subdividing it, I can see that this is not supported in sculpt mode. So if I bring this back down to 0, now it is available. But if I go anything higher than 1, it's not available in sculpt mode. Okay, so I feel like realize, we'll just kind of keep an eye on that, and we'll take a look at that in a second. But I feel like I just wanted to let you know that what am I doing here? Well, if I go over here, these are going to be my sculpting brushes. And if I drag this over, I can see what it's named. Or if I knew what they were, I could just kind of go like that and I could kind of see a list of all of them. But I'm just going to make it wider while I'm learning this. And let's say, for example, this draw sharp. Okay, now what I can do, if I click, I can see how that looks kind of quote unquote pixelated. So I just kind of undid it. And even if I was at level 1, it looks really bad. Okay, I just undid that. Now if I go to level 2, we saw what that looks like, but if I subdivide it again, now it looks a lot cleaner. It's still a little pixelated. I'll go again. And now it's like cutting into butter. Okay, super clean. And you could imagine if I went again, it would even be higher. So I feel like really neat. The other thing too, it's if I go higher, I'm not permanently going higher because I can always come down to my original level here. Okay, now what does all that mean? Well, I feel like that means I can just kind of again, I can sculpt when I want detail like wrinkles and things like that. I can put it in the high mode, and when I want to make adjustments to like the silhouette or kind of bigger edits, I can put it into the lower mode. If we look at this, if I come up here and go to statistics, I can see how many polygons it is. Okay, so you can see here, if I jump down, I can see that at level 1, it's only 13,000 or 14,000 faces. And if I go all the way up to 4, I can see that it's close to 900,000 faces. So again, depending on your computer, it's going to kind of dictate what your computers can support. The other thing that's neat about sculpting mode is that if you press lightly on it, if you're using a tablet, and I'm going to show you that in a second, if you press lightly, it's going to have a little effect. And if you press hard, it's going to have a major effect. So this is what I would recommend. Okay, well, first of all, we've got a couple options here. So this would be like a drawing tablet where you are looking at the screen and you're drawing with a pen, and that's going to be a lot more kind of intuitive than using a mouse. And when you use a pen like that, what's neat about it is if you press harder, it's going to make a darker, deeper mark. And if you press lighter, it's going to kind of hardly make any intensity. And within the same brush stroke, you can kind of change that intensity depending on how hard or light you're pressing. The other option, which is going to be more expensive, but a really nice experience, is that if you have a, you can actually draw directly on the screen. If you have like a Cintiq or some type of display tablet. So those are your two options. I feel like kind of looking at it like this. Okay, so you're drawing down here, but seeing the result here. And then in here, you're actually like drawing, so it's going to be physically more like you're actually drawing on it. Okay, now, if you're interested in that, you could go to wacom.com, or Wacom, I guess is how it's actually pronounced, and you can search for, you know, the different products. And I feel like, to give you an idea, a tablet like this, okay, this might start at even $39, and something like this could go up to $3,000 or more. Okay, you could probably get, I mean, you can, I feel like the range is probably $1,000 or even $600 for a smaller screen. And then it goes up from there. And then again, the tablets here, I feel like something like this is a larger one. This is probably, you know, $400, but you don't necessarily need a big one. I feel like if you're doing the screen, it's kind of nice to have a big one, but if you're having just a tablet, you don't necessarily need a big drawing area. In fact, I kind of like the smaller ones, just give me a little bit more desk space. But again, those are some things you should probably consider if you're going to be doing digital sculpting, because I feel like it's going to give you more control, it's going to be easier, it's going to be more intuitive, and doing it with a mouse is going to be very difficult. So now that we're kind of set up, in the next lesson we'll actually get to sculpting.